siku ya leo. Welcome Your Excellency. Karibu sana.
We have a facility known as the Joint Loans Board, and most of these people are partakers of that Joint Loans Board. The Joint Loans Board so far has lent, we have got close to R1 billion out there, and I'm holding their titles, their driving licenses. I want to return them to them. In return, they will join the Hustlers Fund. So when you are counting your customers for the Hustlers Fund, count that already you have got R1 billion out there, which these people will come and convert. And in addition to that, and I've discussed this with my colleague Simon Cherugui, we have got $250 million that had not been dispensed. So that money, I've just told my peers, by close of business, when we have got the regulatory framework, must be transferred to the Hustlers Fund. So not starting the Hustlers Fund, we have no excuse now. Pesa iko, nimekupatia pesa leo. And also the trade officers who are dealing with this Joint Loans Board are going to be retrained on dispensing the Hustlers Fund. And we are donating to Simon Cherugui 2 trade officers in every county. Each county will have 2 trade officers, already they are on government payroll, and they'll be the nucleus of the people who will be working with the chamber and with our SMEs to give them the education and the training they require to make the Hustler Fund a success. Nowadays, everybody's talking about the Hustlers Fund, including very big manufacturers, very big people who I didn't even know that they know that a Hustler exists. But because of your continuous education, everybody is singing the same song of the Hustler, and now because of our donation, we can be able to kick off.
Aligning MSMEs with government policies, programs, and initiatives is the surest way to create seamlessness and mutually supportive engagement. With your permission, Your Excellency, allow me to submit to you that as KNCCI, we have already taken the lead on this. The last 2 years have taught us one thing: we must build sustainable and resilient businesses. Many small businesses closed during COVID-19 period and took to digital platforms as an alternative for doing business. In the wake of COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the MasterCard Foundation, who are here with us, Your Excellency, launched its COVID-19 Recovery and Resilience Program to support businesses to MSMEs. Institutions, individuals, and communities respond to and withstand the impact of the pandemic while strengthening their resilience in the long run. In Kenya, Your Excellency, the MasterCard Foundation partnered with KNCCI, among other organizations, to provide targeted support to informal micro-enterprises that were particularly hard hit by the pandemic. 18,000 KNCCI members, majority women and youth entrepreneurs, received 535 million Kenya shillings collateral and interest-free micro loans, as well as digitally delivered training to sustain their businesses during this difficult period. We delivered and were very successful in this project. Thank you, MasterCard. Overall, the program created new digital channels to reach MSMEs and leveraged existing ones such as M-Pesa. It is estimated that COVID-19 Recovery and Resilience Program sustained nearly 43,000 jobs, of which 44% or 8,700 were held by young people and 84% or 16,500 by women. The loans disbursement officially ended in the year May 2021 in May. Your Excellency, as KNCCI, we are in partnership with various development partners who are here with us. For example, AMREF Italia, where we have supported women groups, training and capacity building women. We have partnered with many other development partners and institutions, financial institutions, Equity Bank, where we were able to train over 32,000 hustlers actually on financial literacy. And I want to thank Equity Bank for that. Absa Bank, currently we are engaging in actually sensitizing women and capacity building them on how to approach business and, of course, market access and finance, and how they can be able to be prepared on financial literacy.
The project of reforming the chamber that Trademark East Africa is undertaking to be able to organize the bottom is a shared agenda with our government. My ministry is involved in that particular initiative. I want to thank Trademark East Africa who are here, Ahmed Farah, we've had many meetings, Mr. Ngati, and I want to say that that project has got the full support of the government of Kenya to reform, to register every SME, because we keep on arguing. The other day, we had having a meeting with yourself, Your Excellency, with KRA, and one, Dr. David D, said we have got 4 million SMEs, but the enterprises registered for VAT are close to 300,000. And I want to see a situation whereby after we are done with this project of digitization of the chamber, we actually donate that list and become an agent, a partner of KRA, because we are going to do everything possible to improve the business environment. We are going to go to every length to support manufacturing, create common user facilities, merge our licenses regime, but also we want the chamber to be our partner in matters of tax collection. And it's not tax collection by force. We want to move to a regime of voluntary tax collection. And they have told me that they have no problem paying taxes. The only problem is that we let the taxes pile up, mpaka siku ya kulipa inakuwa sasa story ingine. So under that program, we are also going to work on a situation whereby every day KRA will be going home with their money and leaving the businessman with his money. So hakuna mtu anakibiza mwingine. Yeah. So because when the tax is paid installment every day, what we are calling the tax at source, and do it on a voluntary basis, then we are going to meet each other and be friends. Your Excellency, we have successfully piloted that in the betting industry for the last 2 weeks. Every day, the company that is in that pilot scheme, every day they are going home happy because KRA has been collecting its taxes daily basis, real time, and they have been doing their business. And the betting industry is telling me that they are happy now because they are sure hakuna mtu atawakimbiza. So we want to extend that and work with these members of the chamber so that we can be able to reform that. Export-led growth is another of our core areas as Kenya Kwanza government. And as I've said, we are going to have common user facilities, not just for manufacturing, but for export within our counties. But even further than that, and I want to announce further what we announced yesterday when we met President Ramaphosa, that we are going to build warehouses and common user facilities, not just in our counties, but also in our key markets. We are going to build warehouses in Johannesburg, in Cape Town. Just this morning, I had a wonderful meeting with our ambassador in DRC who is here. So we are building 3 warehouses, one in Kinshasa, one in Goma, and one in Lubumbashi. What that means, even if you don't know any customer in DRC, just come to our warehouses, place your goods there, using e-commerce and other techniques. We are going to sell on your behalf and just remit money to you. You don't need to know anyone. And we are, in our first phase, we are going to also to extend that to Dubai and also to the UAE. Your Excellency, I have seen our friends from the stock market are here, and I don't want to lose that opportunity by saying, one, we want to have a new conversation. The old conversation based on borrowing, based on debt, based on budget deficit belong to the old Kenya. I have a new passport I'm giving these people, and Gatia was among the first people to receive it, what we are calling the new passport. The new passport to a new conversation based on opportunities, based on investment, based on trade, and based on shared prosperity. Sio kuongea mambo ya madeni kila wakati. I'm not saying that debts are not good. I've seen bankers here and don't want to be blacklisted. But we are saying at the same time, let's have a new conversation. And I'm discussing with the chamber how they are going to join our common investment pool for the private sector, what we are calling Sanduku, for partnering on our affordable housing and other projects. We have agreed with the Nairobi Stock Exchange that they will take up on our behalf our commodities exchange, so that partnering with the Kenya National Trading Corporation, we can be able now to start trading goods on the NSE the same way that the shares are being traded, and that will lead to a very efficient market.
Your Excellency, we will be delighted to partner with you and your administration and the East Africa partner states to realize your vision of no-stop borders with our neighboring countries. To increase the efficiency of custom processes at KRA, we worked with KRA to implement the integrated customs management system. Also, through implementation of the single window information trade system portals, we supported automation of import and export processes for various government ministries and agencies. This greatly reduced transaction costs and time for businesses. Your Excellency, we will continue working closely with the administration, the private sector, and civil societies to advocate and initiate programs that will enhance countries' business environments, competitiveness to promote export-led economic growth. On our forward look, through our export readiness training program, we are targeting MSMEs to help them deliver marketable products on a global scale at competitive prices. Awareness-raising initiatives will be undertaken on the benefits of exporting and to provide a general understanding of exporting as a means of interesting more farms to export. Cognizant of this, and towards my conclusion, the key focus of this meeting, which is the Chamber AGM, I would like to appreciate some milestones the partnership between Trademark East Africa and the Chamber has yielded over the years. From 2015 to 2021, we supported the Chamber technically and financially to develop an online web portal management information system aimed at improving the management and administration of certificates of origin and managing Chamber membership. The system was rolled out in 2015 and has been operational since then. Also, Trademark East Africa and the Chamber embarked on a second phase of that aimed at enhancing system functionalities to further enhance efficiency in the operations of the Chamber by adopting more affordable, simplified, and accessible technologies through mobile enhancement. This phase placed emphasis on rolling out automated services to county chambers, thereby reaching out to more members and trading communities in Kenya.
The problem of Kenya has been one of leadership. And you people know, for your companies to succeed, it must start with the CEO. If you get it right at that level, you are good. True or false? What Kenya needed was a CEO who knows what he's doing, who has time, who has the energy, who has the passion, and who is willing to be a team leader of this great country. And I want to say, much as you people were incited against us and you almost gotten lost, the ordinary Kenyan knew the kind of leadership this country needed. But be as it may, from where I sit, listening to the president every day, his leadership revolves around investors, entrepreneurs, the business people, and creating the right environment for business to thrive and for creating wealth. Never again in this country, under the Ruto administration, will government ever criminalize enterprise, because it almost brought this country to a halt, where people who have no idea about business, people who have no idea about investments, people who have no idea about banking, they were let loose all over the economy and almost brought this country to a halt. That will not happen again. We are having a serious crisis because of the adverse effects of climate change. 4.3 million Kenyans are facing starvation. 2.5 million herds of cattle are dead. There is danger to wipe out our wildlife. And we are having meetings to look for short-term solutions, mid-term and long-term. I want to appeal to all of you to give a hand to the people of Kenya. Tomorrow we have an engagement with our development partners and our business leaders. And I'll extend an invitation to about 10 people from the chamber to represent you so that we agree first on the short-term interventions, which is to mobilize money and food for the people of Kenya. When your leaders come back to you, I want to appeal to you with a lot of humility. If you can afford 100,000, 1 million shillings, 2 million, 3 million, whatever you can, please, let's put the resources together so that we join our development partners, because charity begins at home. Even as we talk to the foreigners to assist us, we must have a local effort. So when that appeal comes, please give us whatever you can in terms of cash, in terms of food, through the Red Cross and other mechanisms that we shall create that are credible and transparent so that we save life. It will be unfortunate if we lost a single life of a Kenyan when you have some little money somewhere that you can be able to put to that use.
We will focus mainly on the digital and creative economy, manufacturing, business environment, climate change, and agriculture. It will become clear that these issues align with the urgent deliverables set out in our plan for rapid socio-economic transformation of our country. Therefore, they resonate powerfully with our government's agenda. Stakeholders are clear, listening to them most of this morning, that they want to see the digitization and automation of transactions in order to take more economic activities to the domain of the digital economy. Towards this end, export documents will be digitized to reduce transaction costs, and business information will also be digitized and consolidated in an integrated portal. And Moses Kuria here has the brief on how to go about it. There is also a strong request to reduce tariffs on digital products, not only to lower cost, but also increase incentives for developers, as well as traders and consumers. And I listened to Magdalene, she spoke so passionately about that. And to strengthen the sector through education, skills, and training, we shall have a strong program to support the establishment of innovation hubs for the development of skills, talent, and incubation of startups, and the whole array of services and funding instruments, from funding startups to making sure that we have venture capital so that we can do more research and more trials of what works. We will also deepen the teaching of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and entrench an apprenticeship framework in the education curriculum. I have already instructed the ministry in the TVET sector to make sure that our TVETs are made technology compliant and more apprenticeship and more industrial training and industrial attachment is carried out as a means of equipping our young people with the skills that can make them job creators. The truth is that we are living in the digital age, and e-commerce is a big part of our economic reality. Consequently, it is important that we empower small businesses to thrive in the online marketplace. Our first order of business is to develop a policy framework to protect and support youth in the creative economy. This entails facilitation and capacity building of mainly youth-owned MSMEs. And as I said earlier, that is precisely why I pronounce myself on the creative economy under the Ministry of ICT and having a standalone ministry for SMEs, because this is the sector that will turn around in my respectful view, our economy. The urgent need to lay down MSME-friendly consumer protection and intellectual property frameworks. Through collaboration with county governments, we also intend to refurbish and equip existing facilities. And I'm grateful that many county governments are now volunteering facilities for us to work together with them so that we can modernize facilities which have been neglected or degraded into modern recreational centers and where youth can train, can learn, practice, and generate incomes from showcasing their talent. As it pertains to manufacturing, MSMEs must be supported to participate in supply and value chains through establishment of processing plants and common shared facilities. The cost of production must also be lowered significantly through lower energy and input costs and a more supportive tax regime. As I have said, our tea, we are selling 95% of our tea in a semi-processed state. And I have said that we are going to have a common user facility in Mombasa at the Dongo Kudu complex so that we can begin the journey to add value to all our teas, create jobs, and access better value for our farmers. It is also essential to develop a sound and competitive industrial knowledge base by entrenching research and development of facilities and training SMEs on appropriate technology, new and cost-effective machinery, as was said by my good friend from the Jua Kali sector, that indeed we can develop appropriate, effective machinery locally, working with our Jua Kali sector. This is especially urgent in the agricultural sector, which can unlock tremendous new potential merely by deepening technology penetration. It is time to upgrade current markets to serve as modern manufacturing centers, complete with shared facilities for small businesses to enable them produce consistently at competitive rates. And I have committed that we are going to modernize our markets countrywide, starting with 20 markets in the city of Nairobi, to be able to ensure that our business people have habitable, decent, healthy environment to carry out their business. And I confirm that there exist promising opportunities for the private sector to invest in key development projects in various sectors under the PPP model, and we will deliberately create opportunities for the private sector to tap into key development projects through this partnership. A case in point is our housing program. We have said deliberately that 40% of all our investments and work under the affordable housing plan will be done by micro and small enterprises in the Jua Kali sector and other sectors. And already they have demonstrated capacity to do it. In one project alone in Kibra, the Jua Kali sector will take 40% of the cost of that project by doing doors, windows, hinges, and all the other products. And we have already aligned them with a TVET so that they can be able to improve the quality of their product. Because of all these activities, we are looking forward to, and it will be essential to assure all our stakeholders of consistency and integrity in the market. Apart from our clean power generation from hydro, geothermal, wind, and solar, we are aiming to secure a global leadership position in carbon adaptation through an unprecedented drive to grow 15 billion trees in the next decade. And I look forward to the partnership of the Chamber in this endeavor. We also have the intention of following through with our e-mobility and renewable energy. As I mentioned to the Jua Kali here, that we will work with them on e-mobility to change, to refabricate all our e-mobility tools so that we can be able to transit from dirty energy. In addition, we will invest in constructing shared solar-powered cold storage units to reduce post-harvest losses, increase agricultural productivity, and protect farm incomes. Unlocking the true potential of MSMEs in our economy demands that we all collaborate with the private sector. Working together, we will create new opportunities that will transform our economy and our country. And I want to ask all the players working together, synergized, and we will provide the necessary space for all of us to contribute our ideas. And we believe that always a good idea should be able to give way to a better idea. That's how we can move together in unison. We will not engage in the business of harassment of our business people to pay taxes. We want to make paying taxes seamless, convenient, and easy for business, because that is how we are going to create the necessary partnership that will enable us deliver public goods using taxes and create an environment for the private sector to create wealth and provide the resources for us to grow our economy and develop our country. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, we also continue to create market linkages and also support the businesses through trade missions. And in particular, I want to mention last week, we did have 10 US investors who came and interacted with some of the members. And we are happy the Chamber of Commerce president had the opportunity to speak to the members. And mostly these are the SME customers. Other than that, last year, Your Excellency, we managed to take a delegation of 300 businesses from Kenya to DRC. And out of this exposure visit, a number of them were able to establish business opportunities in DRC. And this is where our businesses will be able to do business in DRC, and also DRC were able to identify some of the opportunities. We have lined up quite a number of trade missions, locally, regionally, and also internationally. And we believe this is going to really impact heavily on the SME sector. Your Excellency, after the COVID, we as Equity Bank, we came together and we asked ourselves, what is it that we need to do? And we came up with a Marshall Plan. And in this Marshall Plan is actually cutting across all the regions we are operating in, and I believe Kenya is going to be the biggest beneficiary. We have set aside $7 billion US, equivalent to almost 840 billion Kenya shillings to support the businesses. And out of that, the impact we are projecting is that it's going to create 5 million businesses across the region, and every business we are projecting is going to create another 5 individual businesses that are going to benefit individuals. So in total, about 25 million businesses are going to benefit. Out of that, Your Excellency, we are also projecting that 50 million jobs will be created across the region. And I believe this is going to have a big impact. We as Equity Bank are really very focused to support SME, because we believe SME are the greatest drivers of our economy. Again, Your Excellency, we have products specifically for the SME. We have working capital solutions. We have trade finance solutions. We have CapEx solution to take care of our customers. So I'm extending an invitation to all the SME customers to reach out to our branches so that we can be able to support them financially.
There's too much money in the world seeking a home where it can earn a return. What the business community globally and locally wants is predictability. is reliability, is seriousness in approach. And I think in the last 1 month since you took over, the business community has had more time with leadership than in the last 10 years. And if that's anything to go by, Mr. President, I think we are in for good times. Mr. President, finally, let me just say, we appreciate very much your choice of Moses Kuria as our Cabinet Secretary. He's engaged, he's focused, he's resourceful. The other day, he told the PS, some of the CEOs in his ministry, that atawaendesha kama gari ya miraa. And some of them wanted to resign, but I think we know we are in for a time when we have to work as a country to lift and raise all the boats. Mr. President, I think what these people want is just an environment that is predictable. What these people want, and Mr. President, the KRA has been trying to dig too deep into our pockets. We need the chamber and such like bodies that can actually expand the tax base in order to allow you to fulfill the agenda of helping this country. Mr. President, you promised us 10 IPOs at the NSC. So I'll conclude by encouraging all of you SMEs, open CDS accounts. Do not miss the IPOs. And finally, I commit to you, Mr. President, that we, the business leaders of this country, we will work single-handedly to make your agenda a success.
Our commitment is to support Kenyan micro, small, medium enterprises to advance and to ensure that the ordinary mwananchi can readily reach us for any of their financial needs. Your Excellency, we have a special focus on women and the youth as underrepresented segments in business. In line with this, we recently unveiled the DTB Zawadi Savings Account, a savings product specifically targeted towards women-owned and led businesses and groups, encouraging saving and earning interest. We have partnered with the Rose Women's Foundation to roll out an income-generating and capacity-building program for women in Kenya's low-income settlements. In the markets, we have launched DTB Sokoni, a lending program for traders up to Kenya shillings 200,000. Each trader receives a free payment till and gains access to loans based on their discipline in collection of funds and record keeping. As we move further into the digital age, many of our youth-owned businesses prefer to interact completely digitally. As such, we are developing Infinity, a phone banking application product that will equip micro, small, and medium enterprise owners with all the tools they need to run their business, both on the street and online. Your Excellency, one of the key factors that limits micro, small, and medium enterprises' growth is a lack of financial literacy and access to services. In response, we have a financial literacy training program that builds the capacity across all areas of business. To ensure easy access to finance, we're expanding our physical presence and will add 40 branches to our network by the end of 2023. Ultimately, our expansion efforts are driven by our determination to be the bank that walks the journey with micro and small businesses, women and the youth, from one level to the next, as these businesses have a direct impact in the community, households, and livelihoods of Kenyans. In conclusion, I want to reassure you that the hustler nation can bank with DTB and bank on DTB for support at all levels of personal and business growth. Thank you very much.
This is a hustler tractor, which is a cannibalized car. It's just a car that has been cannibalized into a tractor to release the oxen from the farm to go and do other assignments. Because it is only in Africa where commercialization of agriculture is through an oxen. So this tractor that we shall present to you as an image, you will see it is a tractor that will do 10 functions. And we are happy, Your Excellency, you are talking about how do we run away from fossil fuel. This tractor will be a solution to that because it's going to use biofuel, which the farmer can farm for energy in the tractor. We have millions of scraps. And if this is going to be your donation as a father of this sector, you will say, take these vehicles, give me tractors, and the counties can enjoy tractors, and they can produce more. And of course, the many functions that this tractor will do, we shall produce. At the end of the day, Your Excellency, we shall be presenting to you a few other projects, which are presidential projects that are incomplete. And yet, there is a very huge demand for some commodities from this country to international market because of those projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We're going to connect our Jua Kali sector to our TVET institutions because in TVET, we have a lot of equipment. We spend almost 25-30 billion shillings to equip our TVETs. And we are now saying there must be a working formula between the Jua Kali and our TVETs so that the Jua Kali can leverage on the huge resources and equipment that we have in our Jua Kali to professionalize their work. But if you look at our manifesto, we have said that we are going to work with the Jua Kali, link them up to our TVET institutions, and create a common user facility where we have the most modern of equipments to be shared by different people in the Jua Kali sector so that we can elevate the quality and the specifications of the products that they produce. So you are spot on, and I want to confirm to you that is a plan we intend to implement. And it's going to cover the textile sector, the leather sector, the wood sector, the metal sector. All those sectors will be covered in our common user facility that we are going to equip, either in every county to begin with, then we will move to the sub-county, and then we will move to the Jua Kali sheds, which can be shared by different Jua Kali players because it's expensive for one person to buy. But once we put a common user facility under the management of the Jua Kali, they can share in the common user facility for all the equipment that they need to be able to elevate the quality of. We not only unlocked matters to do with travel, we also unlocked and eliminated barriers. Number one, we've had a 10-year ban on our meat products accessing the South African market. We have committed ourselves, and yesterday in the evening we got a brief from the ministers concerned, but by December this year, the ban will be lifted so that our products can access the South African market. We cannot sell our tea to South Africa. We have a challenge selling our pineapples. We have a challenge selling our avocados, as was mentioned by this young man. The issue was that we are operating on different phytosanitary requirements. We have said we are going to harmonize our phytosanitary regulations so that by January we can be able to access the South African market as they access our market. That way we can begin to bring down the difference in the trade levels between our two countries. As was said, they are selling to our country $650 million US. We are selling only $40 million to the South African market. And yet, the primary or the premium products that we'll be selling to South Africa have barriers. One of them is tea, and I persuaded the president of South Africa that by January, February next year, we should be able to export our tea to South Africa. And I do that for all the other countries. including our neighbors, and I want to persuade all of us here, whether you are in fintech, whether you are in agro-processing, whether you are in the Jua Kali sector, we must focus our market beyond Kenya. And that is why we should leverage on the East African community, and more importantly, we should leverage on the infrastructure given to us by the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Africa, ladies and gentlemen, is our market for our tea, for our coffee, for our milk, for our fintech, for all the products that we produce. We must raise our horizon to the 1.2 billion people in the African continent. And we must target the 2.7 trillion GDP and make some of it Kenyan GDP.
It's quite capital intensive to set a manufacturing plant here. And it's also a challenge for the hustlers to be able to access financing. I'm calling myself an hustler manufacturer because I got into manufacturing food production with no food technology, knowledge at all. I am a product of the Kenya Industrial Research Institute. First, some of the challenges that we have is malt licensing. We have to pay so many licenses to be able to set up, plus their fees. At least you need 400,000 to be able to set up a factory in Kenya. I don't know how many startups will be able to afford that. Some of these licenses can be grouped together and it can be made cheaper. Annually, for renewals, we need at least 200,000. That is quite expensive for a startup. Another thing, it's on the taxes. It's like getting a baby and expecting this baby to feed herself in less than a year. So we are requesting for moratoriums or a grace period to be able to get on our feet so that we can be able to pay taxes without default.
We must up our game and we must support people like Esther who venture into adding value to our products for local consumption and even for export. This is a subject we have discussed extensively, and that is the reason why I hired Moses Kuria. Moses Kuria, can you respond to Esther?
Esther, I want to tell you that first, using our Kenya Industrial Research Development Institute, we are now running up to 50 to 100 clients, SME clients whom we are incubating there. From our Kenya Industrial Estate, we have another 50. We are now going to roll out these incubations to every county. And that is the basis. That is the basis of our common user facilities. I have received already a lot of requests, and people are offering land. And I want to thank governors, Your Excellency. Governor of Elegeo Marakwet has offered me land. Governor of Laikipia has offered me land. Governor of Nyeri, actually, where on Saturday I was giving out relief food in Kieni, we have agreed on 150 acres of land available from national government, where we will put up our first pilot common user facility. So I want to tell Esther and all our SME manufacturers, at least you'll have a home. And let me also reiterate to Your Excellency, we don't have a problem of money at all, at all, at all. I've had a discussion with banks. I've had a discussion with the World Bank and other development partners. The problem is what you have alluded to and what President Gatti has alluded to, that the bottom is not organized. We've left our SMEs out there like mushrooms in the world. And what I'm going to do is to work with Esther and all the SME manufacturers, SME exporters, put them together and make them ready to receive money. Because money is one thing, and having an organized architecture that can be able to receive money is another thing.
For a very long time, SMEs have been relegated to some department in some corner. And by so doing, sometimes they get forgotten. I now have a minister who wakes up and sleeps SMEs, and cooperatives. To do two things: to make sure that SMEs are organized, to make sure SMEs are made business ready, and to make sure that SMEs are made funding ready, so that we can catapult SMEs to the next level, where we create big corporations out of small SMEs.
What is it that we can be able to do to utilize the open space that we have in this country so that we can be able to leverage on carbon credit?
Precisely, that's why I attended a session in COP27, where we were discussing about how to grow, how to expand, and how to make carbon credit markets much more accessible, simpler, and carbon credit funding, not to fund intermediaries, but to find the actual people who do the real work on the ground. You may want to know that at the moment, 80% of all carbon credit financing end up with intermediaries, auditors, assessors, and the rest of them. The people who bear the brunt and who do the hard work of making sure that our environment is safe get the short end of the stick all the time. So in this particular arrangement, and that is why we were having this session, shortly, we are going to have a law that will govern matters to do with carbon credit, so that we make sure that it is transparent and it is accessible to the people who actually should benefit from that carbon credit regime. So the Ministry of Agriculture and all the other ministries that are related, including forestry, we're going to put it together so that we can deal with the challenge of climate change and unlock financing that can help us mitigate and provide for adaptation mechanisms for the climate change effects that we are suffering as a nation.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think we get to a close with that session, but we as the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we want to commit to you and to your government, Your Excellency, that we shall reorganize and we shall reorganize ourselves so that we can be able to partner with the Kenya Kwanza administration.
I must start by congratulating Your Excellency. Yesterday was a moment of so much joy to all of us as a country, ourselves when we were at KCC, to listen to your speed of execution, something that has been troubling this community in terms of business with South Africa. In 1 minute, in one summary, of all the achievements that you did yesterday, removal of the visa to South Africa. Amazing, well done. Removal of all those trade barriers. I can imagine yourself with the team last night at State House, moving with speed and executing and removing the trade barrier. That is amazing for me. So I start by saying thank you. This business community, there's nothing else we need apart from just creating that environment where business can be able to thrive. From ABSA, we have gone around the country recently to 10 counties. We've met so many people, the delegates that you're seeing here. We've listened to the SMEs. We've seen what are the big challenges that you're facing, and we are responding. We're going to support you together with what the government is doing. We are coming to you to say we can be able to give you unsecured lending to the tune of 10 million shillings. We are coming to you and saying for the business to be able to thrive, LPO financing, invoice discounting to the tune of 50 million shillings. And we are coming to you, especially the ladies, knowing the challenges that you're having, creating a kitty of about 50 billion shillings to be able to support your business, making sure that we can be able to give you opportunities to markets, information in basic things like bookkeeping, and also giving you coaches, mentors that can be able to make sure that your business is thriving.